it's wrong, man. I'm here on loan from the city of Indianapolis to the city of Fort Wayne with none other than the spare X4O himself. Is the hottest upcoming artist of the Midwest.
Oh my God!
I'm in town with. I'm so excited. So we gonna talk some Jesus talk, some encouraging talk to the people, but then also get a little bit of taste of the best restaurants in the city. And we got a show coming up, so we're gonna promote that some while we out here and make some fire music. So sad my guy JC Fantasy couldn't slide today, but you know, he's here in spirit, Lord willing, you feel me? So I'm just glad to be here at the end of the day.
We could always FaceTime him. He was talking about when we start a creative session to like just phone him in if we can.
That's a great point. We could always do that.
Yeah, so that could be smooth.
Yeah, that could be smooth.
I normally cook up. Yeah, I could just use my phone or something. But like, yeah, bro. So I kind of want to hear the rest of what you were saying with the prayer.
Yeah.
Bro.
So it's like once, and he said it's his practice that they had in early church / some more Eastern practices where it's like, because you gotta think the Western hemisphere of Christianity has largely become based or is a fruit of the Enlightenment period from European thinking, where it's very intellectual head based, right? Because they were forming arguments against the thinkings, the systems of thought, right? So we're very much the result of reasoning and coming up with different arguments and thoughts and all that. So that's why I feel like specifically here in particular white context, it's all about apologetics. It's about the theology, systematic theology, all these systems of thought.
Yes.
But in the Eastern Hemisphere, early church practices, which a lot of you think about St. Augustine, which a lot of the Reformation was a result of from, it's like African practices, Eastern, you know what I'm saying, Asian practices is very tangible. It's more grounded to the earth, right? So one of the practices that they happen is like having a wooden cross, and it's not, and this is the thing, it's not like voodoo type stuff, you know what I mean? It's grounded more so to the physical reality world, you know what I mean? So having this cross, you'll breathe in like, how's the prayer he say? He says like, thank you, Lord, have mercy on me, and then you breathe out a sinner, something like that, and then you say different prayers as, I think it's like specific psalms too. Don't quote me on this. So Dar, if you see this, remind me, shoot me a reminder. But it's basically you're grounding yourself, and you're using these physical objects as a tangible reminder, right? And I think you'll even see that just in how from a white context to a black context, right? A lot of the systems of thinking people were able to create was because they had access to literacy, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want black people to read the Bible in context, right? Because if you read more than just slaves obey your master, you often have to read on further, like masters also treat, you know what I'm saying, slaves, for you have a master in heaven. You know what I'm saying?
It's in the same chapter.
In the same chapter. But they didn't want them to read that. Literally just a little. That's why reading context, all that, because it's just, bro, it's like, man, the access to literacy, the access to just it being a physical faith in grounded in reality, I think in some ways has been lost on us. And that's why I think this, for me at least, has been encouraging, because in my faith journey specifically, I've been walking with Jesus probably like 13 years now.
Been a son
2010.
Been a son since about 2010.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's 13. Y'all know some of the songs, man.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like, a lot of my thinking was shaped by I was in the youth group, right? It was dope, like multi-ethnic church, right? But even in multi-ethnic church, what can be the tendency is tend to be dominated by white pastors or white culture. And so what'll happen is sometimes that thinking will seep in to be just a dominant thinking, which is what the faith is. And so for me, I think I did dive deeply into apologetics and thinking, while at the same time being involved in different music, like his hip hop ministry is also involved in, that was very focused on the poor, focused on the hood, on the block. So it was a conglomerate of things that kind of allowed me to arrive at that. But what's often happened so far in the Christian faith, specifically in the States, is that it can be focused on are you saying the right things, right? The creeds, right? Are you talking the talk? Which at times can be a little detrimental towards, okay, what is the day-to-day, not like super simple, super complicated things, but what's the practical, like, okay, walking with Jesus be when it's not like mind-blowing, like revelations happening, you know what I mean?
The mundane.
The mundane, that's the word I was looking for. So to me, this has been bringing me back to the mundane. Something simple as like just looking at a cross, holding it, when I'm facing those moments of temptation, when I'm like really struggling to give in to lust, or when I'm struggling to not respond rashly to anxiety, or you know what I'm saying, respond to somebody in a way that's like, nah, Jesus probably wouldn't talk to them like that. Jesus probably wouldn't say that, man. And Jesus probably wouldn't. 100%. I think something that's normalized in church culture is kind of talking around people. You know what I'm saying, talking behind people's backs, and not being as direct and clear, but being more loving to the face, right? So like loving, being like, you're kind and nice, but inwardly you're not saying how you feel, what you think. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't feel like that's love.
Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah, I don't know, because love is honest.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're not really expressing how you really feel, but you're just gonna put a mask on, then that's not real. That can't be love if it's not real.
That's facts. But I feel like that's the hardest temptation, especially in church. I don't know, at least for me, sometimes in church spaces, it's like you're supposed to be joyful. You're supposed to be, but this is narrow definition of joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be it's this happiness, this bubbliness, which, like I said, I think in some ways also stems from the history of whiteness, where it's like this nicety that you're supposed to have to you. You know what I mean? Or else you're not truly a follower. But I mean, it's a lot of lament and pain that disciples experienced. So I don't know, man. That's some of the thoughts with the prayers, though. Yeah,
Word.
I know I went a little tangent, man.
You good, bro. I feel like, but that just shows everything that, I guess you could say is tied to everything that comes with just having something tangible. That's everything that it reaches.
Yeah.
It comes back to the gospel. It comes back to your emotions. It helps you hold on to something. It's a physical reminder. So it's not just you trying to tell yourself and your thoughts, oh, I don't need it. You know, because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So it's like, weak. if we get to a point where it's just us and our thoughts, bro, eventually we're going to lose that battle if we're not calling on Jesus and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a physical reminder can help some people more than it can help others. Like for me, something that's been helping me is just like, it's pretty much like a list I keep in my head. But a lot goes on in my head. But it's a list I keep in my head of just like countermeasures when I feel tempted, with like stuff with temptation. Bro, like if you struggle like with looking at corn, don't bring your phone to the bathroom or the private spaces you go into. Or if you home alone, then like if you're not on your phone, bro, leave it somewhere across the room, stuff like that. It's just, I try to find measures that are practical, stuff I could do easily. That's just like, just the same as like, if I struggle to get up because I keep oversleeping or I keep going back to sleep after my alarm goes off, then put your alarm across the room and put a glass of water next to the alarm. Because if you get up and walk, you're less likely to go back to sleep. And then if you get up and drink some water, it'll wake you up more. So it's just stuff like that to keep you from. I ain't do that this morning. That's why.
You say, "Oh no, this is be sure."
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it.
These all the time.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's why I was slumped when you pulled up. But like, yeah, bro. It's just, I don't know. It's fun and stuff that can be. It's simple, but it's not easy, bro. Because it's still a fight with your flesh, which is a fight. It happens daily, bro. That's something that my bro John was reminding me of. Shout out John, bro. He's been so solid. It was like, I remember texting him and I was like, bro, I felt today. This was a while back. And I was like, yeah, bro, I felt like I was doing good. And then just, I don't know what happened. He's like, what do you mean you don't know what happened? Like, fighting your flesh is a daily battle, bro. It's like you won yesterday, but like that battle almost resets. Like it's good to think about how far you've come, but that can't just be the weight of your success because it's ultimately in Christ. It's ultimately in Christ, bro. You know what I'm saying? So like doing good and coming a long way is not all that this discipline measures up to.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about the freedom. And like you can't really define your freedom by how far you came from bondage. Wow. It's just being
hold
free,
on.
Because if you free,
you
but
say
you still,
you
you can't define your freedom just by how far you came from bondage, bro.
Yeah.
Because if you going forward but looking back, how are you moving forward? You know what I'm saying? I guess technically you're moving, but it's not in the best space.
Yeah.
It's not. So if you, it's giving Exodus, bro. Like when they was being set free, but they just kept looking back. You know what I'm saying? It's like physically they moving forward, but like in their heart they not. And like
wow.
But what it is like if you truly are pursuing freedom, but all you thinking about is like, hey man, it's been 3 days without. All right, it's been 4 days without. Eventually, when your flesh get weak enough, because the enemy's gonna try to wear you down, bro. Eventually, if you get weak enough, it's gonna be like, yeah, it's been a while. I feel like I got room to slip. Yeah, bro.
Dang.
That's why it's just it's counterproductive to focus on how far you come. Like it's good and it's a praise report, but that cannot be the measure of your success. It can't. Hold on,
be, that's like applicable to so many things.
It just
like,
can't be, bro.
That's so tough. Mm-hmm. Oh man, like so many gems right there, bro. Oh my goodness, you can't. So defining your freedom and how far you came from bondage is a setup for slavery.
Because your mind's not changing from it. But the main thing about repentance is your mind actually changing on it. So people say it's turning the other way, and like that's cool, but it actually means it's like making a U-turn. Mm-hmm. So like, cause you could turn the other way and just turn to something worse, or just turn to something that feels not as bad. You know what I'm saying? But if you actually make a U-turn, you're getting away from all that. Yeah, you're getting away from all that. And so your mind has to actually change on it. Repentance is like your mind actually changing on, okay, it's not just I need to stop looking at this, but it's like, why is this actually something like God does not want me to do? Why is this actually destructive? I feel like when you get a deeper understanding for stuff, it's easier to walk away from it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's less curiosity to play with. 100%. So it's like when your mind actually changes on something, when your mind actually changes on something, you're not going to keep coming back to it. Yeah. Because you don't think the same way about it. You know? Yeah. And so it's like what I heard, I think it was Craig Gro's show, but I went to a Global Leadership Summit, and basically what he was speaking on is like, you go the direction of your strongest thoughts, right? And it's basically like how our brain works is like, the more you think about something, the more you're going to think about it. It's like, when you think about something enough, it's going to build a neurological pathway. Basically, the more you think about it, it's going to become a stronger thought. Yeah. And the stronger thoughts are the ones that reoccur more in your brain, right? So if all you're thinking about is your battle with lust, guess what's going to come around? More battles with lust, because it's all your mind is stayed on. Mm-hmm. So that's where your body's going to go. If all I'm thinking about is making money, then I'm going to find every way to get some paper. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the direction my body's going to go, because that's my strongest thought. If all I'm thinking about is trying to get a wife and this, that, and the third, or trying to bag a chick, then what I'm gonna do, everything that comes with trying to get a girl, I'm gonna try everything. Your energy's going, your body's going to that, bro. Focus. So it's really like, it comes back to renewing your mind daily, because it's a daily battle, bro. Right? And if you're renewing your mind, you can't focus on what's in the past.
Yeah, that's insane though.
It's a lot. That was a lot, but like it's kind of like driving though. Like if I explain how to drive, it'll sound like a lot, but when you're actually behind the wheel, it's not too much.
Nah, that's a great illustration.
Yeah, bro. So it's like, I think they call it metacognition, but it's like thinking about what you're thinking about. Like I've been like challenged
metacognition.
It just monitor your thoughts. Like what do you think about, and how much do you think about that in a day? Because that'll show you where your mindset needs to change. And something Daniel was telling me was like, I was telling him I was annoyed with how many like, it felt like intrusive thoughts and just lustful thoughts. I'm just like, I'm not even trying to look at people, like look at women like this. And I'm like, bro, I'm like telling Jane, I'm like, bro, I've been trying to rebuke these thoughts, but it's like, it feel like they just keep coming back. Yeah. And Jane was like, well, that's why I tell Jesus to take the thoughts captive. He was like, 'cause how you gonna rebuke it by your own power? And I was like, And so I literally been inviting Jesus to like, I'll be like, Lord, please take those thoughts captive. You know what I'm saying? That's literally been my prayer verbatim. And like, I'm gonna be honest, it helps. What it does though is open the door for me to redirect my thinking. But if I don't replace my old habits of thinking with something new, I have nothing to redirect to. And so it just end up being in a circle of like, Lord, take this thought from me. And then a few seconds later, I'm thinking about it again. So it's like, if I could keep my mind stayed on more scripture, more truth, or just even more practical stuff, something else, just think about music or something, you know? Something to replace it with, then I have something to redirect to. Because like, God's going to do his part, but we also need to do ours. And so if we asking God to take our thoughts captive, it's our job to make it obedient to the will of Christ, right? And so like, if he's going to take that thought captive, okay, we need to put something new here to think about. Something else has to be a stronger thought, or else we're not going to be free from it. So, yeah. Yeah, bro. That's the stuff me and Jay will be talking about at like 2 a.m. Me and JC be in the studio, just we'll be laughing and stuff, and then that conversation will come out of nowhere, and I'm like,
yeah, that's how the death come from though, when you have that comfortability, intimacy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like the struggle with lust, bro, it's kind of like they say in football, it's like 90% mental, 10% physical. Yeah, bro. It's the battle. Excuse me. The battle's in the mind, bro. And like the enemy, that's where he wants the battlefield to be, because when it's in our mind, we tend to think it's just our own thoughts, and not something that the enemy's trying to spring on us, you know. And so if we just take ownership of it, we probably not gonna want to fight it. So like, if the enemy gets us to think that like all these lustful thoughts are just from us, which I mean, some of it could be, but a lot of it couldn't be. Especially if we're renewing our mind, it's like, then where's it coming from? If my head is in the book, then where's this coming from? So the thoughts are still gonna come, but you got to be able to rebuke those and stuff. If you don't have a habit of being in the book, you're not gonna know the difference between your thoughts and the enemy speaking to you. So you're just gonna take ownership of it, like, these is my thoughts, and then like you just kind of live with it. And it's like, where'd the fight go? Yeah. Next thing you know, it'll be like a drift, and then you're just gonna look up one day, and it's like, when did my head get this full of this like just trifling stuff? Or like, when did I lose this reign on my tongue? You know, when did I stop composing myself well? When did I start lashing out on people? And it's a drift.
Yeah, it's a slow phase.
It's a slow drift. You don't notice it till you went too far. So, but it starts with your mind. Yeah. Yeah, bro. So, I don't even know how to reel that back in, but yeah.
No, man, that's so, I mean, cause my mind's going through so many pathways right now. One, I mean, I love what you said about it in football. So I'm not an athlete, right? The 90% mental, 10% physical, though, I feel like applies to almost everything.
A lot, yeah, bro.
And then when you said, I'm still stuck on, you can't define freedom with how far you came from bondage. Because I think, one, in the climate we're in, just with so many, specifically, right, within the black context, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I talk to the guy on my bikes a lot, like, from older generations, like, y'all came so, like, y'all not dealing with the same stuff as before, so you should be straight. But a lot of the younger generation, newer generations, like, nah, it's still so much left to do.
So much
and
work.
Fight, you feel me? And then in the same stretch, when it comes to lust, when it comes to control of the self, I think the main, the craziest thing now is freedom has become defined as how much you can indulge, right, with yourself. You said earlier about overindulging, like once you're out of like strict confines, like parental boundaries. So now I believe a lot of the culture that has resulted from when those quote unquote chains are gone, it's like any type of restrictions and rules and regulations are seen as a form of slavery, but actually that's to give you the utmost experience of freedom, right? Because if you gotta think about back in the day, if a slave escapes, right, and goes to another country, becomes free, right, what does freedom mean to them? They can't solely define that based upon their previous bondage because they've never experienced freedom yet.
Yeah.
Like, they know it's a new form of it, right? And I think in the same way, when we come to be believers, we experience a form of freedom as a new creation that, right? We're like, oh, certain old ways, old patterns of thinking is like, that's not what freedom is at all.
Yeah.
But like you said, we gotta keep growing towards that upward call in Christ Jesus. And I know for me, even when you talking about the mindset shift too, it's like when, and so trigger one for everybody on here too. So me as an individual having experienced sexual abuse, right? And then when I was first introduced to corn in like middle school, that has flavored and shaped my just my whole interaction with my body, with sexuality, towards where at times I don't want to tell people. So even in that cycle of shame, where it's like, oh, if you messed up, you went so many days without it. It's so deep rooted to where it's like, okay, what are those like experiences that's like shaping everything, all your interaction with when it comes to sexuality. And so I think the key component that you talked about too is community. You say you talking with your guy Daniel about it, right?
Yeah, bro.
And I think that's the main thing that everything hinges on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that the devil, the Satan, and his angels don't want is community. Because the first thing I read this past year when I got separated, right? I was previously married, and I was in Proverbs, and the first thing that kept coming up was whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. And so that isolation is what'll completely cut you off from all sound reason, right? It'll cut you off from, like you're saying, you can drift slowly and get to a point to where you like, dang, I didn't even realize that. Now all I want to do is, you know what I'm saying, give in the lust. Now all I want to do is like run away from accountability, right? And when you start like opening yourself up and you get more into the habit, like in me, I'm definitely, I'm just now like in the most recent weeks, like talking to people when I'm really opening myself up. But it's like when you get into a habit of solely defining freedom as how far you come from that bondage, what happens if you fall into that bondage again? Then you start believing that you're not free, but you are.
Yeah.
But
bro.
you are in Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta believe that for yourself. But then if the devil gets your faith, I never forgot I was in Louisville, for this dude's listen. Shout out to Marcus, a Vessel. He's a Christian rapper in Louisville, right? And I was at his church, and something that the pastor said is like, the devil, he wants your faith mostly. You know what I mean? Your faith is the most dangerous thing to him. So if he can get you to believe that you're not that person, that you're not a son, a daughter, if he can get you to believe that you're actually still, that you're not God's, right?
Oh man.
Then yeah, he's cooling. He's like, oh damn, I ain't worried about them, man. They in the sideline, man. They not even in the game right now. They think they're on my side. And your position never changed, right?
But your thoughts did.
Right? You're still on the team.
Bro, you know what verse came to my head when you said that? You said the devil wants your faith. And I was like, bro, without faith, it's impossible to please God.
Dang. That's tough. Wow. That's tough.
That's what, and like, I feel like that's what we need to understand, bro. Like, is like the devil be playing chess, bro. Like he really like, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
he been at this for a couple.
You know, and even though he ain't got no new tricks, like he still use them for a reason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It's very effective,
bro. He's playing chess, bro. Like that's why we need Jesus, bro. Because like if we try to fight that battle on our own, bro, we thinking it's us.
Exactly.
Bro, you're spitting, bro. Like we're thinking it's us, and the whole time, bro, he taking our faith right out from under us. You ain't gonna have no foundation. And then it's kind of what you talk. It's like, and then you isolate. You know what I'm saying? Then it's just you and your thoughts, and then God knows where that goes. I don't. You know?
Yes.
It ultimately gets like self-destructive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro.
But and that's why you, like they say in the last days, people have itching ears to affirm what they're already believing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we talking about earlier. What it's a lot of false dichotomies now because people have given themselves up. This is Romans, right? They give themselves up to their desires, right? So,
wow.
Say you have traumatic, like a lot of people have had traumatic experiences when it comes to interaction with the opposite gender, when it comes to self-image, self-worth, self-esteem. It's been earthquake moments in their life that they never really take into account. And this is just from an unbeliever standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. But then believers as well. It's been earthquake moments that they never take into account, right? Mm-hmm. So that in turn ends up formulating how you view every opposing viewpoint and every opposing individual, right? So I even think about this one time, this checked me, right? I was in high school and I was talking about I was in Spanish class. I don't know how we got to this point. I was in Spanish class, but it was one of those days like it was just kind of a free day, I think. Then I was talking about like this verse in Romans, you know, the one that's highly debated now about for men exchange desires for men and women burn desires for women, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll never forget this one girl. I never met her before up until that point in time. She came at me so heavy, like she was screaming, yelling. She was like, but like she was a heavy proponent of the LGBTQIA plus community, and I can only imagine now looking back. She probably has family. She probably has friends, woo that's like been greatly ostracized, maybe even abused because of their experiences, right? Yeah. And so in turn, me experiencing this person like coming at me heavy was like, dang, like, jeez, these like folk really hate talking about this. Like people are really gonna like come against me heavy if I speak on stuff like this. You know what I mean? And so for a while, I mean, even for years after that, like as a young believer, I definitely was quick to come into the Christian crowd where, you know, a lot of Christians, when it comes to that topic, they're thinking more so about like defending the faith or defending themselves and their opinions and their rights, right? Mm-hmm. And so while I believe it is our call to always stand by Scripture, have a reason for the things we believe in, with 1 Peter 3:15, right? I think also there's this reality of empathizing and realizing like a lot of these people, they're not coming from a biblical worldview anymore at all. You know what I mean? So I can't be distressed and fearful because somebody is going to feel very upset or revoked based upon this ancient Hebrew literature that they're not exposed to, they're not familiar with, and with the way they may have been treated by people that bore the name of Christ for what they believe is who they are. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of ways, and I'm not with the comparison to how a lot may say like it's the same as a black struggle. I think it's distinct. Yeah. But that's a whole nother conversation. We get into that if we need to. Yeah. But I would say it does give me a pathway towards like, yeah, if someone hates you for your desires, right? For who you think you're born, if you believe you're born loving the same gender, right? Or the same sex, right? And you've experienced so much violence and vitriol and just disgust. I see, like, as a black person, the times I experience a lot of discrimination, like, I empathize with that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't come into conversation from a point of like, trying to come in guns blazing and sword swinging. But it's like, how can I level with you now? You know what I mean? Even though I know when I've experienced, and people on other opposites, they experience that, like, that rah, you know what I'm saying? And how people say it's echo chambers now. And that comes to our conversation when it comes to, like, this third wave, I believe it's third wave feminism, right? And then you got the other pendulum with, like, people in the manosphere type stuff where it's like disgusting ideologies. You know what I mean? And then in a lot of ways seems to give way for women to be like, see, this is what men be on. You feel me? Yeah. And it's like, but it's overcorrection on both sides is what I believe, man. Yeah. I believe it's overcorrection on both sides.
100%. And this is what we could definitely talk about the manosphere, because we can hold some men accountable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's
we
like,
got to. I'd rather hold the men accountable on here than try to hold the women accountable.
You know what I'm saying?
You feel me?
That's not our place. So it's like, but for the men, bro, it's like the manosphere has become like it's toxic if nothing else, because like on one hand you have like, and rest in peace, Kevin Samuel, who I enjoyed watching because a lot of them conversations was kind of funny.
R.I.P. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of them conversations was kind of funny.
You know, I'm being sad. I ain't watched a whole lot of it,
bro.
I ain't watched a whole lot of it, but I seen snippets.
There was a lady that called in, bro, and she basically was like giving a rundown of like what she wanted in a man, and he's asking her like about herself, and he's like, "What's your height? What's your weight? Blah blah blah." And he's like, "And you expect a man to make this much to cater to you and your family, blah blah." He said, "You sound like a dude, blah blah." She's like, "Well, what do I need to do to get a high value man?" And he said, "Be reincarnated." And so like some of his stuff, bro, was like, it was some shock factor, but like Kevin said, it was just
reincarnated.
It was more just like,
dang.
I was watching that stuff because like that genre was funny to me, bro. Some of that stuff was funny. It's like Kevin Samuel would make a point that made sense, just in a way of like, it's not fair to expect somebody who's put in a lot of work to make the most of themselves to cater to you, and you haven't like put any work on yourself. You know what I'm saying? He would tell that to a woman, which I think goes both ways. I think that goes both ways. But then like he'll say something else, and I'm just like, bro, we didn't need that. You know, like
a broken clock can be right twice a day, right?
Exactly. That's exact. But like the whole rest of the day, it's like, so it's the whole rest of the day is chat. So it's like, you know, I've learned to get a habit of take the good from the bad, but if there's only a little bit of good, I have to sort through all the bad. I probably shouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
that part.
So there was Kevin Samuel, and then there's Rollo Tomasi, who he tweeted about, you know, quickest ways to become a high value man, and top of the list is like get a vasectomy. And then there was a list of stuff that's actually practical, like start working out, take care of yourself, you know what I'm saying? Get a hold of your finances, like that makes sense. But why is getting a vasectomy? What did that have to do? You know what I'm saying? That's at the top. And then he gonna say that wasn't a prescription. I'm like, if you suggesting that's what somebody should do to get to a certain place, like hospitals do, to get somebody better, or like your physician do to give you medicine, that's a prescription, bro. That's literally a prescription. So it's like,
he clowning,
bro, wilding. And then you have people like Fresh and Fit, who just like, they kind of weaponize dating. Like the idea is like pimp or be pimped.
Yeah, I hate that.
What real world is that the scenario, bro?
I hate
you know
that,
what I'm saying?
Man.
Unless it's like people that think they're famous, and then the OnlyFans girls are trying to back. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's a small bit of like, the dating scene's not like that, bro.
It's they take the extremes, and then it's the loudest voices, really. You know what I mean? But it's coming out of Miami, bro. No dating scene is finna be like Miami, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody normal in Miami, bro. They're either NPCs or it's a flex contest, and then a girl's not gonna choose an NPC if somebody is flexing over here, bro. I'm just like, I wouldn't either, bro. This is like a GTA just random character versus somebody who actually making a name for themselves. Like they got the boats, they got the bottles. Dude not doing nothing. So like from like a basic kind of carnal mindset, it's like there's not much to choose from. So if it's all keeps coming back to this, and it's like pimp or be pimped, you either got to flex harder or you got to learn how to play these women so you don't get played. And it just kind of branches out from there. And I'm like, that's just not healthy in no way, shape, or form. It's not. Yeah. And so it's like, and then don't get me started on Andrew Tate, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even listen to none of what he's saying.
But it's like
Didn't you hear he recently got he's like being investigated or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he built his business and career off of cyber sex, I believe. You know what I mean?
So, what I heard from the wind, and I ain't gonna say too much because I don't fully know, but it's basically like he was helping manage some girls, I think plural like OnlyFans accounts, and it was kind of like taking advantage of the money flow through there, and kind of built up from there.
Yeah.
And so I mean,
it's dishonest gains, man.
Yeah,
and I think
ill-gotten gain. Yeah, bro.
And that's probably my biggest issue with the communities is they may point to certain biblical, like let's say traditional roles that's like biblical, right? As like between how men are supposed to be, right? So men supposed to be catered to, like very patriarchal type of ideas, right? But in the same token, the same stretch, they won't highlight the reality that the ideal design and intention behind men and women in partnerships is a covenant of sacrifice. Jesus dying a bloody death for somebody that probably isn't the best for him. Like you think about the bride of Christ, the church, being hella toxic, right? And you're supposed to die for that person. You're supposed to give. Don't get me wrong. You can have principles of like a Proverbs 31, right, woman. However, you even look, and this is something I've been praying on a lot, is a Proverbs 31 man is listed. A lot of people don't realize a Proverbs 31 man is listed out earlier in that chapter. It's somebody that defends the rights of the poor, right? Advocates for people. Is not after multiple women, right? So it's one woman. So there's not against, you know what I'm saying? So if you are modeling, if you're using biblical texts, like the same thing with slavery, right? Right, the way they were using slavery, you got to read in context. It's a high call. You're not trying to get as much as you can, right, without giving anything at all.
Yeah.
You're supposed to give as much as you can.
Yes.
And once you make that covenantal commitment, it's like you said earlier, it's fighting daily, right? Dying to yourself, giving yourself up. And that's the complete opposite of what they're preaching. They're preaching, nah, you gotta fight for, and it really just goes back to Genesis. Right? It's really just speaking of results with Genesis, like your husband will seek to rule over you, your desire will be for him. That's what sin has distorted the relationship between the genders of being a power struggle rather than a partnership. Right? It was the intention was Adam and Eve to be working in the garden together, helping one another. You feel me? Now, because it's sin entered the picture, we're seeing sin on full display through mediums like the Fresh and Fit, through other means of the women also feeling to come against this false idea of masculinity, because it's like it shouldn't be a power struggle, it should be a partnership. Like, how can we create spaces of freedom? How can we cultivate the land around us? Right? You even think about it, it's like, are they seeking to cultivate their spaces and communities? Or are they tearing down these people? Are they building their own castles away from, like, is this idea of high value being high income, right? Is income your sole marker of being high value? If that's the case, then you may be in sin. It's this one quote Dar shared with me that was like crazy. Shout out to my guy Dar, right? He's a missionary with impact at Purdue's campus. He said, in capitalism, all riches come from unjust gains. And I said, that's interesting. I don't know if I agree fully with the idea that, like, because God has blessed, and he blessed plenty of people in, you know what I'm saying, throughout history to have riches for kingdom purposes.
Yeah.
But you think about the present system of America, the land itself, it was built upon the backs of African slaves. It was built upon the genocide of the indigenous people. Our whole system has been created out of oppression. So it's certain ways that have, over time, things have changed, but there's still these underlying currents and things that are always seeking to crush the poor, right? Yeah. Is your high value dependent upon how much you defend the poor, how much you're caring for your neighbor, right? Or do you even care about your neighbor? What if your neighbor isn't a high value person? Do you disassociate with them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you skirt around the homeless people in your community? Like when you see homeless people around, do you look the other way?
Wow.
And I would guess the majority of these people on these podcasts talking are not associating with the least of these. That would be my guess. Maybe they are out in their communities loving on the people that that other people don't want to love.
Yeah.
But my guess is the way they talk, they don't want anything to do with those people. Because they don't fit that image that's high value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
that's crazy. Man, something I thought about even with like, you talk about capitalism or just businesses in general, man. I think about like, just like, I feel like food is like the easiest example.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like,
yes.
It's like, bro, like, I just think about like people I know personally, the ones that got the most snacks and candy bars and just, I guess I'd say the unhealthy food. It's just like the people that aren't doing as well financially. But if you think about it, like they put all this stuff in the front of the like by the register.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all impulse spending. Nobody goes in there planning to buy like 3 Snickers on their way out, but they do. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of these businesses are running off people's impulse spending. In other words, purchases they should not be making.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're not planned, and it's like that's what your business is built off of. It's people spending the last out their wallet on a few candy bars, bro. That's what you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was reading, watching this course about, and this unfortunately maybe it's a result of my bit of my business now. I was watching this course on talking about building a music business, right? And they said the grocery stores, that's literally how they're set up, is that they don't make anything off of milk and eggs, right? That's like if people came into the store and only spent money on milk and eggs, grocery stores would be out of business. But like Zach really said, like that's why they put everything before, everything after, because that's where they make the bulk of their money. Right, but in turn, what, like you said, what is that product feeding people? Yeah. Right. What is that product doing to people? Yeah. It's not healthy. You know what I mean? It's not healthy at all. And so even in my mind, working within this system and framework, it's like, yeah, I'm seeking to do things of quality, do things of value, but it's like those, like I'm saying, like we saying, those underlying currents of just trying to get the most out of doing the least is, I feel like, consistently the thing, when that's the complete opposite of the way of Jesus, right? He gave, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was intentional about his time spending the things he did, but he wasn't always trying to make his bottom line the dollar sign. And bars. I think that's what, unfortunately, we came to, even when we think about value, we usually always automatically associate that with money. You know what I'm saying? There's other ways to give value to people. But yeah, I don't know. That's a loaded conversation, man. Yeah, bro. That's a lot. And so I put up this Proverbs 1-2, man, just about the Proverbs 31. Go ahead. That it's and that's why I say I've been trying to think more so about how am I becoming the product, because you know, and like you said earlier with the new Barbie film, right? Women have been placed upon heavy expectations in society just for centuries. Yeah. I mean, since the beginning of time, right? But then when it comes to the context, I think in the Christian community as well, it's like everybody points to this Proverbs 31 woman and the expectation, even within purity culture too, right? Women have to not be modest, but also be these undercover sort of sex symbols when it comes to marriage, because you want them to be real sexy in marriage, but you don't want them to be too out there, but you want them to be super attractive. Yeah, but you want to be super attractive. So it's like they're crushed in so many ways. And oftentimes we don't talk about the men, right? And so that's when I think about this Proverbs 31. That's why I'm thinking about this joint. We talking about his mother taught him, right? The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him, said, "What are you doing, my son? What are you doing, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to win men," right? So it's not giving your strength to multiple women. It says your ways to those who destroy kings. It's not for kings, O Lemuel, it's not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what's been decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. So it's like self-control is self-control to those seeking to be this high value person, not just doing what you desire, not taking whatever you desire. And then it goes on, open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Are you speaking up for those who have been forgotten? It says, open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. How is this even discussed in being high value? Being an advocate for those who can't speak for themselves. Like, and literally, in this kind of, literally for the mute, for those who are destitute, right? They don't have an audience. They don't have no platform now on no YouTube. They don't have no social media like that. They don't know how to work that stuff. How are you advocating for the elders in your community who people feel like only needs to be in a nursing home or they're going to be euthanized because, well, we don't need them anymore? How are you advocating for the people that's like, all they got is like them little track phones, you know what I'm saying? They don't know how to really work the system like we do. Their digital literacy and IQ is low. How do you advocate for those people rather than us just building these audiences and it's saying, like you're saying, how to pimp or be pimped? Like, if that's your whole philosophy and approach, then yeah, you're gonna end up, like I said, not in partnerships but power struggles, right? And it just goes all back to Genesis, man. It's a result of sin, man. It's really like, I feel like beautiful relationships and marriages and all that, we see great partnerships. We don't see great power struggles. Yeah, because each one is trying to use their power to uplift the other. Yeah, you know what I mean, yeah. That's just my 2 cents. Right, yeah. Hey, if you're a high value woman out there, hit your boy up, man. I'm out there here to street.
I'm gonna hit your boys.
Hit your boys up. You know what I mean? Nah. But yeah. But I digress, man. It's a great conversation.
It is, bro. I feel like we could put a fork in it right here.
Yeah, we put a pin in it, man. Hey,
come back to it. And come back for part 2.
Maybe part 2, man. Hey, thank y'all so much. I'm a guest on his platform, man. So I appreciate it. I'm out here in Fort Wayne, man. I'm excited. We might cook up some beats now. I don't know. We might hit the restaurant soon because I don't know what time it was.
The lunch spot.
It's 10:47. You know what I'm saying? It's almost there. You feel me? But I'm so glad to be on this platform. Make sure if you guys watch this, you know, Spare, he's a solid dude, man. But his music's cold too. So listen to the music, man. Quit playing yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. And Rome, bro, I appreciate you coming out, man. It's an honor having you, bro. It's always a good time with you, bro. I appreciate you coming through. And yeah, man. Got some new music we finna cook up. And that don't mean you can't enjoy what's already out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got a lot out.
So that's Rome Herbert. It's spelled exactly how it sounds, and it's your boy Sparrow. That's SPA, 2 R's. There's an X, and then there's a W, bro. It's an X for O. Man. Appreciate y'all, and yeah, more content.